All right, so I'm back over here with another team ranking video for you guys, and today we're going to be taking a look at all the orbital stratagems as well as the eagle stratagems against the bugs. We're not going to waste a lot of time. Let's just jump right into it. All right, so jumping into the first stratagem, we're going to talk about the Orbital Gatling Barrage. Now, I have a small love affair with this stratagem. Not only have I made a video outlining this thing, it has just gotten so much better over time, and it's seriously one of my favorite ones to use because it has an insanely low cooldown. It does kill quite a lot of things if you use it very well, especially if you use it on breaches or in bug holes or bug nests. It does a really good job overall, but it can be kind of inconsistent because the barrages of bullets does not necessarily have like a rhyme or reason, so you can have unfortunate situations where you don't kill much, but overall it's not bad. The one tweak I would like to see is I would like to see the bullets maybe being targeted a little bit more. Maybe they have like, you know, tracking or something like that. I don't know, but it overall, in my opinion, is still a solid A tier. I love bringing it just because the cooldown is so fast, so you always have something to throw into the encounters and kill bugs if you get into a hairy situation, and it's great if you pair it with like a stun grenade or a gas grenade or something like that. So overall, I really do love this stratagem in general. All right, so for the Orbital Airburst, I don't use this very often, so I'm going to rank it a B tier only because it is pretty good if you want to really hamper like a Bile Titan or Charger or something like that. It's going to do a lot of damage to them, so it's not bad. It's just something in the grand scheme of things I don't really think about bringing into a dive. So again, if you're going to use it, it's going to do something. It's going to be good at like the bug breaches. It's going to be great at the bug nests and things like that for doing some amount of damage. I believe it can even close up bug holes if you get lucky, but yeah, it's just not the greatest thing in the world. I kind of wish the radius was even bigger overall. Maybe it hit a couple of different areas at once. But again, I think it's just a solid option, but not anything crazy. As for the 120 Barrage, this thing is just a solid overall orbital stratagem. I've really loved it since the beginning of the game, but it's gotten better over time. And the great thing about it is, unlike the 380 Barrage, it is much more isolated because the salvo is not going to be as powerful or as crazy or as widespread. But again, if you want to target a specific area like a bug breach, take out an objective like Shrieker Nest, or focus in on a bug nest, it's really good for that, and it can also isolate and kill like a small pack of enemies if you want to do that as well. And plus, the cooldown is really nice when compared to the 380. So I'm going to rank it a solid A tier, just above the Gatling Barrage, because I think of the two, this is better. Honestly, I've brought both in, and they do pretty well because you got both of them shooting off in various areas, and it causes a lot of chaos. So there is that. After the 380, I'm going to go ahead and rank it as well an A tier. I would say it's a little bit below both these options, just because I don't like it as much as I do against some of the other factions, because it just feels like it's overkill. Like, it will do some good damage, but again, the cooldown is so long when compared to the other ones, so I'm kind of like, I'd rather bring in a couple of other things over this one. But it is going to be very effective if you bring it into a dive, and you're not going to regret it because it's going to cause a lot of chaos. It's going to do great damage to Bile Titans if it actually hits them, and it will destroy objectives too, but again, it's a little bit more chaotic than I would like against the bugs. All right, so as for the Walking Barrage, this thing has been consistently decent since the beginning of the game. I've never hated it, but I've also never loved it. It's not something I think to bring all the time, and against the bugs it's pretty good. So if you have a bunch of bugs chasing you, then you can just throw this in the direction because it's going to go the direction you were facing, and it will do some decent damage. But sometimes it takes a little bit too long to start coming in, and it doesn't necessarily hit everything I want because the bugs can move around so much. So it's not bad, but again, like, it's just like the Airburst where I don't really think to bring it, but I would say it's slightly above the Airburst, so I'm going to put it as a B tier option. Again, it's going to do what it does very well. If you want to use it against objectives, it's not bad for that because you can just throw it and then it will just go explode all the objectives in a particular area, or even the massive bug nest as well. It works really well against that. So yeah, I think it's an overall B tier, but I feel like the other options above it are just a little bit better. All right, I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off with this one, but I have some good reasoning for it. Is the Orbital Laser is good. It's a actually really effective stratagem if used well, but the problem is that the uses really hurt this thing. I don't think that this thing needs uses. I feel like it's a waste. I don't think anything in the game should have uses. Because the mechs, even, for example, you get 2 of them, but really they take so long to come back that getting a 3rd one or a 4th one is probably unlikely in a dive, so why have a use limit on them? So for the laser, I feel like it's the same thing, where the cooldown is so friggin' long already, and it doesn't really makes a good impact on the battlefield, but it's going to take a long time to kill the elites, a lot longer than it should. So in general, I'm going to rank it on the higher end of the B tier, just because if they take away the uses and maybe even make it just a little bit faster and give it a little bit more damage or something, I don't know, I feel like it'd be better. But again, I feel like just there's so many things that you can bring that are better than this, because the uses really do feel bad because you're scared to use it. You don't know when to use it sometimes, but if you get good at it, it can be pretty effective. But yeah, it's just a solid B tier for me. All right, so we got our first S tier option in the orbital category, which is the Orbital Napalm. It's no secret, everybody runs this thing. It's absolutely fantastic. And it's similar to the 380 Barrage because it is very chaotic, but the difference is that fire is so effective against the bugs, and this will just cast a huge area of fire, and it will do some explosion damage on the way down. This is an absolute fantastic stratagem for destroying the egg nest, for destroying the bug, the massive nest, for clearing out a huge amount of bugs. It is absolutely one of the best stratagems in the game, and is definitely the best stratagem, in my opinion, for the bugs in the orbital category. All right, so the orbital Railcannon, unfortunately, has seen kind of this steep decline ever since some other things have been introduced into the game, because it's accurate and it will do a crap ton of damage to chargers, to bile titans, and various things like that, but it can be so inconsistent, where sometimes it hits things that you don't want it to hit, sometimes it'll hit a bile titan in the back and not kill it, sometimes it won't kill chargers, especially the behemoth ones. I don't know, like, again, and it's so punishing because the cooldown is so long. Now if they drop the cooldown a bit and made it better, that'd be great. Maybe if they gave it charges, kind of like an Eagle Strike, in terms of how many times you can use it, that'd be great. I don't know, but like, they need to do something to make this thing a little bit more worthwhile to bring in, because I don't really see the need to bring this, because it's cool when it happens, but it's so punishing when it's on cooldown. So I'm gonna rank it a C tier just because I feel like it does need some work. But it's not a bad option, but there's just so many things that are better right now. As for the Precision Strike, I would say that this is also a solid A tier. I'm gonna put this right above the Gatling and just below the 120, because I like the Precision Strike, but it feels like the 120 does what the Precision Strike does without the shorter cooldown. So you're trying to target kill some things, but the Precision Airstrike is just great because it has such a low cooldown, and if you get really accurate with it or use gas or stuns to slow down the enemies, it's very, very good in terms of how effective it can be. So I would say it's a solid mid A tier. It's pretty good overall. I don't use it a ton just because, again, I feel like there's other things that are better, but this is actually a pretty solid option if you are going to bring it because of the quick cooldown on it. All right, so the Orbital Gas was the pinnacle of best in slot things in the game. If you pair this with the Orbital Gatling and do the Gas Strike, man, it's a good peanut butter and jelly 1-2 combo type thing. But I really feel like they hurt this thing by making it do so much less damage and be primarily causistic. Now, I love the causisticness of the grenade. It's really, really good and is very, very effective, but I felt like the best thing about the Orbital Gas before was it did quite a considerable amount of damage and was a good 1-2 combo with many other things. So for that reason, I'm gonna still rank it in A tier, but I'm gonna put it on the bottom end of the A tier because I feel like gas in general is very, very good against the bugs. But because the gas grenade does exist, I use this significantly less than I did before, and because it doesn't do nearly as much damage as it did before, that makes me want to use it even less. But if I don't want to bring the gas grenade and I want to bring a thermite grenade or something, I will throw this on to pair with something else because it's going to be great for being able to still operate as like a gas grenade type thing without having so many. But again, it's not as good as it once was in my opinion. All right, so for the Orbital Smoke Strike, I'm gonna rank this a D tier because smoke things against the bugs aren't very good because the bugs just run through them and they can see you again. So this is probably the worst of the worst when it comes to the smoke stratagems, but against the bugs, smoke is just so useless, and this is definitely the worst version of smoke you can use. It's a similar story with the EMS Strike. Is I want to love this thing so much because I love the EMS Mortar. I feel like it's very good, but it feels like the cooldown is not as great, and it feels like the area is not as big, and I wish it kind of attacked faster. That'd be great. It feels like an instant thing when you threw it down. I don't know, I just don't love the Orbital EMS. It's not my favorite thing in the world, and I don't bring it very often, but I'm gonna say it's way better than the smoke, but it still is a D tier category strike in my opinion. It's not massively useful in my opinion, but it's, I don't know, I want it to be better overall. All right, so jumping into the Eagle stratagem. So the Eagle 500 kg is an easy S tier. I would say it's actually above even the Napalm Strike, just because, man, it is so freaking good now at killing everything. Before a lot of updates and patches, I would not always love taking this thing because it felt like it was pretty inconsistent in terms of Bile Titan killage, and sometimes on rare occasions it can be. Like, I've noticed that if I stick to the Bile Titan's leg, it won't always kill them. But in general, if a Bile Titan is near this thing, it will die. And it's a good pairing with the Orbital Napalm Strike. In my opinion, this is the best 1-2 combo in the bot stratagem category, in the bug stratagem category. So the 500 kg is absolutely a delete button. It is so freaking good now and absolutely love it. All right, so for the Eagle rocket pods, I absolutely love these things, very similarly to the Gatling Barrage, but I'm trying to be objective here because I understand that just because I love it doesn't necessarily mean it's good. So the best thing about the Eagle rocket pods is if you're running things like the auto cannon, you can use this to open up holes on the Bile Titans and even holes on the Chargers, or even kill the Chargers a lot of times, or the Bile Titans a lot of times. So that's what I primarily use this for, is just opening up weaknesses, or in some pretty inconsistent occasions, it will kill those things quite outright. But again, like I said, it is fairly inconsistent, but I still do love bringing this thing along with the Gatling Barrage because it is great when you're pairing it with things like the autocannon, like I mentioned. So for now, I'm going to rank it a B tier option because objectively, it is a B tier stratagem. But in my heart, I absolutely love this thing. It is absolutely fun to use, and it's one of my favorite things still to bring on dives. All right, so for the Eagle Smoke Strike, it's going to be in the same spot as the Orbital Smoke because it's just, again, smoke is not great against the bugs because it doesn't dissuade them from pursuing you, so it's just not a great option. As for the Eagle Napalm Barrage, this thing is sneaky good at times. It can be really good for clearing out a ton of bugs in a particular area if you're getting a sneak attack. But again, it's just not great when you have things like the Orbital Napalm Barrage. So again, it's not my favorite thing in the world to bring against the bugs now that we have the Orbital Napalm Barrage. So I'm going to rank it objectively, like right here with the Eagle. No, I'm going to actually rank it right behind all these options. So it's not gonna be a top tier stratagem to bring in anymore now that the barrage exists, but it's still decent if you want to bring it in and go for an all fire build. So have at it. But again, there's just so many better options right now in the Eagle category that this just has kind of got washed away, in my opinion. One of those better options is the Eagle Cluster Bombs, which continues to be one of the best stratagems in the game at ad clearing, and I'm going to rank it in the higher echelons of the A tiers. I'm actually going to rank it right here above the Precision Strike, primarily because it's just so effective at what it freaking does, and it has 5 charges. That is just so amazing on the battlefield because you're gonna be able to throw this down, massacre a ton of bugs, clear up bug holes if you want to, because these will actually get in bug holes and destroy them. I absolutely love the Eagle Cluster Bombs against the bugs. It's very, very good. And in my opinion, it does quite a bit more damage than the Eagle Napalm. So I'm going to rank it in the upper echelons of the A category. All right, so the Eagle Airstrike was one of the harder ones for me to rank just because I don't think it's quite S tier, but I do think it is a really good option because it's so freaking consistent. If you bring this in, it's going to do damage. It's going to be able to kill elites. It's going to be able to do a lot of damage to elites at the bare minimum. It's going to be able to destroy objectives. It's going to be able to do anything you need it to do, and it's not hard to use. You throw it down, it does a side-to-side strafe and just blows everything up. It's absolutely very consistent. So I'm going to rank it in the highest echelons of the A tier just because I don't love bringing this all the time because I wish it had 4 uses instead of 3. I know that's petty, but it feels like with what it is, it should have 1 more strike in it. But again, I don't hate using it, but it's just not something I always think to use personally. But it's just so freaking consistent, I can't rank it any lower. So another thing that I really love a lot, and I've covered on the channel before, is the Eagle Strafing Run. This thing has seen such a hero's journey in terms of how it's been or how it was and how it currently is, because it can do so much freaking damage if used in the right hands. This can obviously massacre so many enemies because it has 5 total chargers. It's going to be able to destroy a lot of elites in the game if you actually hit them properly. It's going to be able to open up exposed spots on Bile Titans as well as the chargers. I just love the Eagle Strafing Run. It's really, really good. So if I had to put it anywhere, I'd put it probably, it's going to be an A tier. And I'm going to put it, it's definitely above the Gatling Barrage, definitely above the Precision in my opinion. I'm going to put it right here above the Cluster Bombs because they both have 5 charges. But I like how the Eagle Strafing Run is actually a little bit stronger at dealing with the elite enemies because of its bullet damage that it does now and the penetration. So I'm going to rank it just above that option. All right, so that's my full list of all the Orbital and Eagle stratagems in Helldivers 2 against the bugs. So S tier options are things that are just goated and I'm going to bring in all the time. A tier options are solid picks and you're not going to be mad if you bring them. B tier options are very situational. They work well at what they do, but they're fairly inconsistent in my opinion. C tier is I wish it was better, but it is still okay if used in the right hands and you get a little bit of luck. And then D tier are things that are mostly unusable and not things you should bring in very often. Let me know what you guys think about my overall list and give me your tier list of all of the Orbital and Eagle stratagems in the game against the bugs. Anyways guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.